Farming and ranching attracted settlers to western territories that soon had populations large enough to qualify for statehood. People mined for gold, silver, and lead, or shipped longhorn cattle to the east. Quickly growing towns occurred that were known as boom towns. Eventually, these boom towns could not last forever because the mines that supported the economy would be used up. However, some were able to survive when the mines closed.
I don't even know where to start. Keeping track of the Great Plains is quite the task for us miners. It all began in California near Nevada City. See, what we do is use a process of hydraulic mining, which is a way to remove large quantities of earth and process it for minerals. Us miners spray water at every high pressure against the hill or mountain we mine. Anyways, I should probably get back to work.
Settlers changed life for Hispanics in the Southwest. A great society by a landholding elite began. These landowners owned huge ranches that covered thousands of acres. California's population grew immensely. Some of the Hispanic Californians welcomed a lot of the newcomers, but they were forced to take lower-paying jobs and their land was taken away. Soon, all these people began to settle in neighborhoods known as barrios. Ranching and cattle drives played a big role in the Great Plains. The Texas Longhorn was a breed of cattle that had adapted to the Great Plains. After the boom in the cattle industry, many cowboys and ranchers started the long drives in order to transport cattle to the east. Ranchers began rounding up the longhorns and drove hundreds and thousands of them to Missouri. Most cattle did not survive the long drive.
This is one of the most frightening experiences of my life. I don't know how long I can take it.
Cowboys played a huge role in the ranching business. They drove millions of cattle north from Texas to Kansas and points beyond. For cowboys, barbed wire ended the adventure of the long cattle drive.
The ranchers used barbed wire to shut out those who were competing for land, and they keep their animals closest to sources of food.
Settlers discovered that wheat could be grown on the plains using new technology. In 1862, the government encouraged settlement on the Great Plains by passing the Homestead Act.
The conditions on the plains is terrible. We not only have to build sod houses and drill for wells for water, but the temperature is dangerously hot. The summer's hard to get through because of the sweat and climate. The winters are not much better. We get terrible blizzards and extreme cold temperatures.
Because of new farming methods and machinery, the wheat belt came to play along with dry farming. People who plowed the plains eventually lost their homes. There was a creation of bonanza farms, and like miners, they formed companies and invested in property and equipment and hired laborers as they needed. Eventually, farmers were going through hard times. Drought would destroy all the crops of the amount of unoccupied land. It was confirmed that they would close the frontier.
Attention all settlers, the frontier is now closed!
Indians had to overcome lots of struggles at this point in time. The ranchers, miners, and farmers forced the Indians to relocate to a new territory. A conflict known as Red Cloud's War soon emerged. It was not long before Congress took action, and in 1867 they formed the Indian Peace Commission.
This proposed creating 2 large reservations on the plains for the Sioux and the Native Americans.
Sent George C. Custer on an expedition to get the Indians back onto the reservation, and Custer did not take their fighting capabilities seriously of the Lakota and the Cheyenne, so he launched an attack on the Native American warriors. In the end, the Lakota Sioux were forced to return. The Dawes Act was passed in 1887, and it provided 160 reservations of land for farming to each household. Single adults would get 80 acres and children would get 40. This plan, however, failed. The Native Americans would succeed, but some have little training and enthusiasm and would sell their allotments because of how small it was.
You, that allotment over there. You to that allotment over there. You to that allotment over there.
Rancher, and I will try my best to keep it that way.
I succeeded as a farmer.
I really don't have interest in this.
My allotment's too small anyway. I might as well sell it.
And we end this week's episode of Keeping Up with the Great Plains with the interesting fact that the policies of assimilation allotments ended in 1934 from the Roosevelt deal.